attitude, all of these attributes that the shaitan possesses. Allah gave a command to bow down to the intellect, to bow down to the mind that makes the man. And it was that other part that said, I don't want to submit to that. I don't want to submit to that. And when you deliberately rejected Allah's command, is when you formulated into the shaitan. It wasn't called the shaitan at first. Formulated into the shaitan. So it says, Rabbil Alameen. Allah is the Lord of all systems of knowledge. And it describes the shaitan in the Quran as a sincere advisor. Everybody in this room has an advisor. And they're very sincere. And we trust them. Some of them, they're our walis. Some of them, they're sheikhs. Some of them, they're our financial advisors. But we trust them. That's the key. But what do we trust about them? That when we need some advice in different facets of life, that we can go to our advisor because they have more knowledge than we do. So Shaitan will come as your sincere advisor to give you advice on whatever level of knowledge you need advice on. He poses himself as a humble servant. I'm only here to help you out. But this is the same Shaitan that Allah is saying in the Quran would not submit to the creation of man, would not submit to Adam after he fashioned him and breathed into him of his spirit. So we're still dealing with knowledge. Shaitan's his chest was puffed up because he said that, look, I have all this knowledge and you're going to create a knowledgeable creature and call him man, and then you want me to submit down to him? I won't have such a thing. So, dear brothers and sisters, knowledge is an obligation on the believers. It's an obligation. It is given to us by Allah as a tool to free us. What happens? What happens when you don't utilize the knowledge that Allah has given you? It can enslave you. It can enlist you in the army of the shaitan. Because if you're not taking Allah's knowledge and utilizing it, then whose knowledge are you taking? Think about a knowledgeable person who has a wealth of knowledge, and they take it and they keep it all for themselves. What attitude produces that in a human being where they want to keep the knowledge for themselves? What produces that? So you feel with all this knowledge, and there are people who are in poverty, knowledge-wise. What would possess an individual to not release the knowledge that they have been blessed with? Now, if you don't have knowledge, what can happen to you? You can also be enslaved by others. How is that possible? Because a lack of knowledge, you're allowing someone else to come in and fill you with the knowledge that they have, their opinions, their ideas. This is very important. We see it in other religions, and oftentimes we don't look at our own religion. In Al-Islam, you have people who will hold people hostage because they know that they don't have the knowledge and understanding. It's very primary with the sisters. You know, you come into Islam, you get involved in a community, and you know, you're single, and marriage is encouraged. So a sister comes in, she sees a brother, he immediately starts teaching her his version of Islam. Immediately. So what ends up happening? she becomes a slave to his understanding of the religion. And when he's done using her and abusing her, and he goes and she's left with 4 or 5 kids or whatever, and now she's seeking, but she has this understanding that he has embedded her with. So she thinks that she's being a Muslim, but she's just following that brother's tafsir. She's following that brother's version of the Quran, his surah in the Quran. But it happens with us as a whole community also. And the primary way that it happens to us as a whole community is we don't value ourselves. We don't value ourselves, and we don't look to the Quran for Allah to tell us who we are. So we get fascinated with this religion. We get fascinated with the culture of the religion. We get fascinated with the surface life of our dear prophet. And then on a magic carpet swoops in the Arab sheikh, the Arab descendant of the Prophet Muhammad, and he starts to teach us his version of Islam. And we sit on our knees with our mouths open like birds, like little chicklets. And he feeds us his version, and we marvel at it. And then we get up from the lesson, and we go out here in the South End, in the CD, in Compton, California, in Chicago, Cabrini Greens, and we get to implement that version of Islam that he gave us, and then nothing works. Knowledge. We value somebody else's version of the religion because we don't value ourselves. We don't value ourselves. And I look in this room, I see mostly my brothers and sisters in this room. So I'm speaking to us directly. We don't value ourselves. We don't value what Allah has given us as a whole. So we think that someone else's version of the religion is the best version of the religion. I heard an imam say that it is a sin not to use your brain. A sin not to think. So, knowledge is a tool. And if we utilize it for anything other than that, it can be at our despair. If we have knowledge and we hoard it and keep it to ourselves, that is a sin. If we don't have knowledge and allow somebody else to fill us with knowledge, that's a sin. Why is that a sin? Because we are not utilizing what Allah has given us. When He created Adam, He created a Khalifa. We all possess the Iman within us, man and woman, brother and sister. When the brother's not around, the sister just doesn't make salah. She misses out on her obligation because her husband's not home. She still has to make salah. Who's leading the sister in salah? She's leading herself. That's the iman in her. How can a brother pull the wool over a sister's eyes if she studied the Quran like she's supposed to? Read the Quran during the month of Ramadan for herself? And know her rights as a sister. How can a brother come in and say, I want to marry you, sister, and then get to teaching his version, and she can't check the brother and say, well, no, brother, the Quran don't say that. Well, I can have up to 4 wives. No, brother, the Quran, yes, you can have up to 4 wives, brother, but, one of the criterion is that I have to agree. So that's why you got situations. You got brothers coming in here. I heard the brother tell me one time that he wasn't going to come back to Jummah. I said, well, what happened, brother? He said, well, because when the brothers are sitting down, they got their feet facing towards the podium. I didn't understand what he was saying at first. What are you saying, brother? Yeah, brother, when you sit down, brother, during the salat, the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said that your feet should be facing behind you, brother, because your feet is disrespectful for your feet to face the Qibla. Well, where'd you hear that, brother? Well, you know, the Sheikh came to this when I was in prison, and the Sheikh told me. So where's his understanding? Where did you read that at? Where's your understanding, your level of... And we can't negate common sense. We have to respect our common sense. We have to respect it. There's going to be some things that you read, some things that you hear that just don't make sense. Now that doesn't mean throw them away because they don't make sense, but make sense of them. Make sense of them. How does that apply to your life? You're a husband or a wife. You got children. You work at a job doing hard labor. You're fighting against this fight that goes on in society. You hear a story about David and Goliath. Why would you leave it at a midget fighting a giant? And that's it. So you know giants lived, and scientists have found some bones, and it's possible a giant bone. Why would you just leave it there? In the theaters. Why wouldn't you look deeper and see how that applies to your life if you respect that as the Word of God? Where's your own intellect, your own common sense that Allah gave you? That's why it's a sin. And in closing, I have a question. If Prophet Muhammad, if Prophet Jesus, Prophet Isa were alive today, what would they be doing? What would they be doing? Would they be doing anything different than they were doing when they were alive? I'm talking about the physical shell of them. Would they be doing anything different than what they were doing when they were alive? They will be fighting against the major oppressors in the society. This is what they were doing. They would be community organizers. Somebody stop me if I'm saying something that's wrong. In the Bible, in the Quran, Moses in the Torah, they would be formulating, they would be community organizing, and they would be preaching against the oppressors in the society. And in the society we live in, there's only a couple of major issues that are going on, and they both tie in. You got racism, and you're dealing with economics. And if you're dealing with economics, it's still going to come down to who falls below the poverty line in the United States of America, if not in the world. And those are melanated people, a people of African descent. So Prophet Muhammad would be holding hands with us. See, we don't value who we are. This is the point. We don't value who we are because we have been told for so many years that you are not human beings, meaning that your mind, your brain does not possess the same intellectual capacity that people of other races do. So we devalue ourselves, but we have to use our minds. What would Prophet Jesus and Prophet Muhammad be doing if they were alive today? They would be coming to Jummah. They would be banding together with those who are the most oppressed in our society. You have to look at yourselves. And I'm here to tell you, not literally, but figuratively speaking, Prophet Muhammad and Prophet Jesus are still alive today. Not physically, to be clear on that, but they are still alive today, and they still walk with us. This is my point. They still walk with us. So know your value. Continue to seek the knowledge and the understanding so that you can make a change not only in your life but in the society. We have to do the work, the same work that our prophets would be doing. The same work. And we can't let any outside source come in and teach us their version of this religion. Their version of this religion. We have scholars that will go to bat. I put my money on it. With any scholars from anywhere around the world, we have scholars from right here in the United States that came right here out of this community that look exactly like you, that have more knowledge. I can guarantee it. But the difference is they're using their knowledge to free people, not to enslave people. They're not trying to go get no congregation that's up under them and hold them hostage to their version of their level of understanding. As a matter of fact, they're not even using their knowledge to only free Muslims. They're using their knowledge to free everyone around the world. But if we don't value ourselves and we won't see the value in those people who look like us, we won't see the value in people who have a supposed broken English. We won't see the value in the descendants of ex-slaves. We won't see it. That's all we'll see is a descendant of an ex-slave. What they told us. I'm out of time. Let us utilize what Allah has intended for us to free ourselves and others and accept His favor upon us. Please join me in the dua as we close. Oh Allah, bless Muhammad and the followers of Muhammad. As thou did bless Ibrahim and the followers of Ibrahim. And make Muhammad successful and the followers of Muhammad successful. As thou did make Ibrahim and the followers of Ibrahim successful for surely. Thou art praised and magnified.